another Music and Coffee with Chelsea Beth. We've got Elli Perry here, which is super awesome. So stoked to have you.
Thank you for having me and for the coffee.
Yeah, so we got Little Bird, coffee from Little Bird.
Little Bird.
Little Bird's a cool spot. I thought it was appropriate, just thinking of like the lightness and beauty of your voice.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Thank you. Matching that with, I don't know, like weirdly trying to match that with coffee, but I thought that was an appropriate
That's
fit.
sweet and very interesting. I have a song called Little Bird that I wrote when I was really quite young. I must have been 18 or 19. And I never play it. I've never recorded it. I never, ever, ever play it. But it was one of those that like always stuck with me and resonated. And I even, like, when I signed with my performing rights organization, you know, you have to, like, come up with a name for your publishing. I even submitted Little Bird for it. So I guess that
Stuck with you.
always stuck with me. Yeah, and resonated. So that is interesting.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, and you said that was when you were 18 or 19, so you've been writing music for a long time.
Yeah, I started performing professionally as a singer-songwriter when I was 12. So
Wow.
significantly over half a lifetime.
Yeah, so what was that like for you, being so young and putting yourself out there and performing that way?
I don't know. I mean, that's a question that comes up pretty regularly when you give the information that you've been performing since you were a kid. And I don't know what it would have been like any other way. You know, it was just how my parents were not stage parents. I always think that's worth stating.
Like there's an association people might have.
They're like, oh,
Yeah.
you had crazy parents who were like putting you in pageants and stuff. And that's so not the case. But my mom was a novelist and my dad was an editor. So it just wasn't a big sell for them that their kid wanted to make art. They thought that was valid and were very supportive of us. But it was entirely self-driven. And I was just lucky enough to be the only child of people who understood and didn't doubt it and wanted to back it. So that made it easier than it probably would have been under almost any other circumstances, whether I had parents that were pushing me to do it or wanted to do it and didn't kind of have that support. But it was just sort of innately what I always wanted to do. And I was the kid who bopped around and played a lot of different instruments and moved from, you know, piano to violin or whatever. And I always kind of played by ear. And then the guitar was just the one that stuck. And that was the one that really allowed me to start putting like the lyric and the melody that I had always been writing to music and kind of let that evolve with me.
It sounds from an early age like you really knew yourself.
I guess in some ways. I don't know, we were talking before the camera started rolling about what it's like to be women in your 30s, and now I look back and feel like, did I know anything about myself? But then in other ways I think I really did. I think I've probably always been essentially this person. Not a lot has changed fundamentally, but finding yourself, and I guess there's a difference between knowing yourself and being able to embody what you know.
Yeah.
So that's probably, I had to talk this out. So yeah, that's probably it. I probably did always know myself, but I definitely did not succeed often for a very long time at embodying that.
What do you feel like, if you don't mind sharing,
Sure.
how do you think that looked in your life, the trying to embody that feeling like it wasn't working for you?
Quite frankly, I'm 4 years sober in a couple months, so that's what it looked like prior to that point. Without going into too many gory details. Yeah, it looked like somebody who was trying very hard to run away from herself and basically living as a tornado person in the process.
Do you feel like, and this is sort of a leading question,
Sure.
but do you feel like music was a sense of home or grounding in that chaos?
Yes and no. It's complicated because it's obviously something that comes intuitively to me and that I've always come back to throughout my life. But it's also very complicated when like your medium, your primary medium, and your passion and your release is tied up in your life. And then that's even more complicated when you add like being a professional kid in a really convoluted industry to it. So yes, it was grounding. It was part of that like elemental self. But a lot of baggage got tacked onto that throughout the years. And you know, I think honestly I'm very, very recently into establishing a healthy and healing relationship between me and this thing, that part of myself again.
So it sounds like it's been such an evolution. Yeah.
That's fair.
How do you maintain that health now? What does that look like for you in your life?
That's a good question that I haven't thought much about. Well, I'm at a very different phase in my creative and professional life than I've ever been in before. I toured relentlessly for almost all of my young life, all my 20s, like 200 days on a year on the road. And for the last couple of years, really, I guess 2018 and 2019 are the first years that I have not toured at all, effectively. And there's really no coincidence that has come at the same juncture in time with new sobriety. That's not the reason, but they're tied into one another, surely. So that's very new. That's how I've made my soul living, and now I'm not doing it. And I certainly miss playing all the time. But it's also been a really great gift to step back from that pace and to learn how to really appreciate the times that you do play. Because I think when you're playing that often, it's very easy to get burnt out and jaded. And then when you're trying to do a lot of healing and a lot of processing simultaneously, that can just all get very murky, very, very murky. And so it's been a gift. I mean, it's bizarre because I don't feel like myself still, not being on the road constantly, and playing all the time. And then somehow, just on the other side of that, I feel more like myself because I don't have to juggle all of that, and I am able to sit with myself and sit with my instrument and my medium, and try and really reestablish that healthy relationship with my craft. So that's been a gift.
The gift that is, like what you're saying, to be able to have that experience, and also how stressful and how much time and energy that takes from you and what you have left after performing. And
yeah, absolutely.
So I'm glad you're able to, it sounds like, have a better balance around that now.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's to be clear, it's not the performing that depletes, it's the after part. It's the having to go and talk to people and sell yourself. Maybe literally selling merch and just interfacing with people night after night and attempting to do it in a way that's genuine,
Yeah.
Genuinely being grateful for people coming out and listening to your music and supporting what you do and wanting to connect with you and recognizing what a gift that is, and then simultaneously accepting the truth that maybe I've driven 8 hours to get here and then I just went and poured myself out on a stage and I don't want to talk to anybody, and that's a difficult thing to balance.
I feel like it takes, I don't know if you can relate to this, but it's taken a long time for me in my life to learn how to say no.
Yes.
I feel like I learned how to say yes from a pretty early age.
I think that most women do.
And we were talking about earlier, healing relationships with other women, and I think for me, I felt really intimidated. When I first met you, I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is has such a presence on stage and such an exuberance, and I almost didn't come up and talk to you because
I'm so glad you did though.
Partially knowing the exhaustion after playing, and then the piece of intimidation, and just being wow, your presence was really warm and kind and genuine, and
Thank you.
I think that's something that you're not just talking about it, you're living it.
Thank you. I hope. I'm glad to know that it's working, because I'm sure that was not always the case. I'm certain that was not always the case.
And okay, I mean, impossible to be all things all the time, especially in the performance world.
Right.
I was so glad that I got to talk to you that night, because I found myself, and I think this was when, again, I don't know if this is something you can relate to, but when I was in my early 20s, I was, especially as a musician, really intimidated by other women who were musicians, and I was almost more scared to come up to them, am I going to be judged or something like that, and so I think hearing your perspectives is just and the similarities and, that journey, because it's not as it's easy to project that image of like, I've got my shit together,
Right.
but
Yeah.
we're all human underneath.
Yeah, and I don't have my shit together, so I'm not interested in projecting something that's false like that. Yeah, I don't want to do that, and that's a hard thing to do. That's vulnerability. It's not always easy to do.
It takes a long time to learn how to do that, I feel like.
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. Before I got sober, I drank a lot on stage because it was almost part of this character, like taking shots, this whiskey swilling girl, and it was a defense mechanism too. It's a way to separate the fact that I'm playing intensely vulnerable music in front of all of you, and I don't know how effective it was from any sort of technical perspective, but it felt like an effective coping mechanism.
I want to make sure you have time to talk about your song.
Sure.
It's easy. I feel like we could talk about this stuff all day. I'm
in
my
home.
happy place right now. Yeah.
I'm at home and drinking coffee.
Yeah, this is great. What song do you want to play for us today, Elli?
I think I'm gonna play something new. It's unrecorded, and I'm honestly still figuring out how to play it. So that's, I guess, in keeping with the vulnerability thing.
Hell yeah.
Because I will probably never capture it being played this way again. So it's called Anacoclosis. It's a new song.
Anacoclosis?
Anacoclosis, yeah.
Anacoclosis. Yeah. Do you mind sharing a little bit about the meaning of the song for you?
Sure, yeah. The word itself refers to the idea of eternal return. It's something that my husband and I were both reading about and talking about when he wrote about it first. And then I kind of decided to write about it myself too. And like I said, I've only played this even a couple times, so I certainly haven't talked about it yet. I'm going to just sort of attempt to figure out how to do that on the spot. But yeah, the idea of eternal return and applying that to what it means to love somebody eternally, and particularly in the context of like a lifelong partnership, that hopefully all things, if they go according to plan, that return will come back again and again and again. Loving each other again and again and again, and continuing to know somebody in new ways. Hey, baby. It's my pup. And I guess for me in the song, it was writing about hoping and aspiring to be capable of the work that it takes to show up for something like that, for the eternal return. And I wrote it pretty recently in the spring, and life was pretty unkind to both of our families over the winter, and there was a lot of loss, and I wrote about the last line of the song was the first line that I wrote, and wanting to be able to show up and be a partner in a love that could survive anything. The last line is, I want to be there. What is it? I want to be for a love built for the end times. So, I guess that's what the song's about. Thanks. It's beautiful. Thank you. Should I play it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Alright, hold on one.
Alright.
Alright, I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay. So play this thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
When the lights go out, the darkness comes, I wanna be the one, I wanna be the one. When the darkness comes, when the chariots so heavy their hooves into the ground, left you undone. Oh, I wanna be the one, I wanna be the one.
that's been is about to come back crashing down on you. Splitting at the seams like you never seen before, till the world starts anew. Your friends are lost, lost and go. I wanna be the one. I wanna be the one when the darkness comes. When your hopes are drawn out in the tide, and you fear you'll never be more satisfied. I wanna be the one. Wanna be the one. Oh, when the darkness comes. All that's been is now to come back crashing down on you. Splitting at the seams like you never seen before, till the world starts anew. Turn me, turn out, could we burn on through the darkest night? Oh God, I wanna be for a love built for the end times.
Wow. Such a powerful experience to get to sit here and listen to you play.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've got goosebumps. I'm just like, I don't know, I had to close my eyes at parts to really just immerse myself in the emotion that you're presenting, not just with your voice, but with the way that you're playing and your dynamics. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
a wonderful compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that, you know, when I heard you play at Wolverine Farm too, it was a similar thing of just, I think you have this gift of being able to give that immersive experience to people, of that, you know, getting a taste or a window into that emotion. Like I could feel in the way you're playing, even without knowing all the words, like what you were trying to convey around the return,
Thank you very much.
the eternal return.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
and,
you.
Yeah, and it's cool. In the song, you know, you return back to the theme.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just structurally even, it just...
It was accidental, but I think it came out organically, and knowing what I wanted to write about, I guess, informed that subconsciously.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Elli. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, this has been such an incredible experience. We've had
you
so
so
much
much.
fun. We got to watch the chickens devour a mouse, or like play with mice.
Yes. Kill and then play
We
with
think they
their
were
bodies.
playing. Yeah. Yes.
They do this regularly.
Yeah. Just learning so much. Getting the window
Chickens
into
are
your
not
life.
peaceful animals. I mean, they're dinosaurs. They're living dinosaurs. Why wouldn't they go and kill
For fun.
and run around with a mouse?
Yeah. We are unsure if they need the mouse for sustenance,
Yeah.
or if it's just for fun.
There's a lot that's unanswered.
I was thinking, oh, are those the goats?
Those are the goats. Welcome to the farm.
Yes. Oh yeah, we're at Raisin Roots Farm right now, which is really beautiful and lovely.
Yeah, I live here part of the year, and it's a great gift. So
Yeah.
there's a few goats back there. That's Eileen, the three-legged goat, as in
Eileen,
who's talking to us right now. And there's a lot of pigs and chickens too. So.